Welcome to another Talkin Trek with Lee Sargent. He is here with me now again, Lee. Thanks for coming back.
I'm very happy to be here.
Now, it's a special edition today. We're talking short treks, which, of course, wrapped up last month. We had 4 episodes to tie us over from Discovery Season 1 to Season 2. Overall, on these 4 short treks, what are you thinking? I
think it's a massive mixed bag. Because and I'm really conflicted by almost all 4 of them at some point or the other. If you had to press me, I'd say that I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them, but with reservations. I like the general concept of supplementary material. We'll have to see where they go.
It certainly is an interesting one, and you could almost argue that they're 4 pilots of things that could have been for the series, and also a way of expanding out the lore of the Discovery era. This 10 years before Kirk, supposedly. Things like Calypso, where we're centuries in advance and we're discovering little tidbits about what happens while watching Betty Boop cartoons.
You know what? This thing is, so mentioning Calypso, so jumping straight into Calypso. Calypso is a great episode. Is it a great Star Trek episode? I don't know if I'm convinced on that fact. Could that have been almost any other science fiction show? Probably. Like the Star Trek element to that show really didn't mean anything. And we're not, so apart from the fact that we're saying that the Discovery survives for centuries but is lost in a nebula at some stage, we're kind of dipping into Babylon 5 territory. Where playing the very, very long game, or whether or not it was just generally a good, just a neat little story. Wouldn't it be cool if someone find the descendants of humanity find the Discovery at some point in a long time in the future, which is kind of and that's a neat story. Cool. What's that about? But the problem with it is that you've now entered that into the lore of the show, the lore of the series, and so what does that actually mean? And this concept of at what stage are we, according to the time travelers in Enterprise, like is this Daniel's period, or is this after Daniel's? The Federation's fallen. Well, that's positive. Little things like that where it's like, oh, okay, so good, we revert back in centuries and centuries, all the exploration, all of the struggle and all of the good work done by the Federation falls to pieces or something. But it's like, if you take it out of context of Star Trek, it's like this really fun short film. But if you put it smack bang in the middle of the mess that is kind of continuity and canon and whatever, you kind of go, whoa, what? What is this?
Let's jump back one episode to where the series started, Runaway. Mary Wiseman leads this short trek, and this is really cool to expand this character and another one of those characters, and we'll talk about Discovery as a whole a little later on in this mini-series. But this whole idea of having... the original idea of Discovery wasn't to focus on the bridge, and it was to focus on these other people. So here we finally have that realization of someone that is nowhere near the senior staff. She was a cadet. It's this short trek now takes place just after the end of season 1, where she becomes an ensign. So she's starting out on this journey, and she's confronted by an alien stowaway that's a little bit larger than life, if you will.
I think with this particular episode, you need to take your nitpicker hat off to enjoy it. Because if you go into this looking at it with any, and I say the loosest nitpicking. Like it is not. This is not a hard episode to nitpick, but it is a hard episode not to like. So this is the conundrum that is the short treks for me, is that if you told me that season 2 of Discovery was going to abandon everything that they've done and we're going to focus on following Tilly as the main character, and her rise through ranks in the Discovery and whatever, I would be like, yep, I'm on board 100%. Don't even care. Keep the costumes. I don't give a shit. make the Klingons look however you want. I don't care. This is a great idea because she's very likable, and the idea of following an ensign is really interesting to me. Because she is hope, and she's kind of the embodiment of what everyone keeps screaming about. The values of Star Trek. I think she is that embodiment of that. So I actually, spending 15 minutes with her is great. There is the downside, though, as I say, of I don't know who's kind of, it's not fact checking, but I don't know who's editing these as far as editing the scripts when they come in, and actually sitting down and going, well, this is almost a court-martial offence. Aiding and abetting a stowaway of any regal stature is not a good idea. Bypassing security breaches, doing security breaches, stuff like that. Like you get in trouble at work if you don't change your password every 3 months.
Yes.
She's got an actual stowaway. And I don't care that it's that she's a kid and she identifies with her or whatever. She didn't know that, and so this is where the problems arise. Where you could a good writer or a good editor or a good lead writer, I guess, should be able to sit down and go, "This is a really great kernel of an idea. How do we make it work?" Like, what caveats do we have to give to make this work? And I think destroying a rec room is probably, it's fun to watch, sure, but if you put in context of a ship and a show, that's really, when did this happen? Is it Captain Pike? Is it on the way from after? Obviously she's an ensign, so is it on the shift that Saru was kind of acting captain, so he doesn't give a shit? It's like, so someone's reporting to Saru and saying, I think one of our ensigns has let someone on board and done shenanigans, and Saru's gone, I don't give a shit, it's the next guy's problem. I don't feel anything tingling, so screw it, I don't care. This is not my problem come Monday.
Well, let's stick with Saru and jump forward to episode 3, The Brightest Star, where we get a bit of background on our first officer / acting captain.
Yep.
And it turns out that they really are this very timid, unaware, primitive culture that are sacrificing themselves to somebody.
Yeah. You know what? I love... How long does this episode go? 15 minutes, aren't they?
Yes.
I love 13 minutes of this episode. I don't have a problem with them sacrificing themselves and being preyed upon by some other species. I'm surprised that because the species has no concept that they were being eaten. So I don't know kind of where that kind of came from.
I think it was a leap by a hopeful fan.
Well, no. What I mean is in Saru, like he's like we're prey.
Oh, right, I understand.
Early
yes,
on,
yes,
and
yes,
it's like, no, you're not. You walk up to the obelisk and you go, you've got a religious problem, not a hunter gathering problem. I'm glad that they kind of. Like, this makes Saru a little bit more in context. I love Saru. I hated Saru when I first started watching the show because I thought that the gangly were ridiculous and stupid, and having the ability to sense death was just an extraordinarily bad spidey sense. But then, like, Doug Jones's work with very little it just completely won me over with the character, and I'm desperately, I'm really disappointed that Saru's not more. He isn't the captain in the new show, the new season, because I think the character earned it. What I loved about this was I really enjoyed seeing another culture, and I love this kind of this primitive kind of they eat they eat seaweed and stuff like that, and I liked that. I thought that was really nice, and I really wanted to see more of that. And then it took a very sharp turn where I no longer enjoyed it. And I had again, and we keep saying there's nitpicking stuff, but I think the problem with the kind of, I'm not nitpicking that the stars are in the wrong place. I'm nitpicking the idea that a guy who knows how to sew up fishing nets, I struggle to believe that he would be able to fix a complicated communications device, despite the fact that it has a Nokia screen where you can do text messages of one word, which I appreciate. I get that. But I struggle to kind of, like, if you were to pick a fisherman of similar kind of development level here in on Earth in the past, and to give them a CB radio that didn't kind of work, they're not going to put it back together. And that's a pretty simple device. But you've got to know kind of what its purposes are. But, so they're just dropping CB radios from the back of their ship, apparently. Stop sticking CB radios on the side of your ship, first off. But, so he's repairing that. And I'm willing to wear that. Oh, okay, he's a genius or something. Sure, okay. But then, like, he makes a lot of leaps in logic, and then he also kind of abandons his people. Like even Anakin Skywalker went back and killed all the Tusken Raiders. I don't know. I just kind of struggle with the fact that the Federation, like, I think he would have been better off if Kirk had found him. Because Kirk would have beamed down and gone, no, this shit won't stand. And I'm doing it again, sorry. But this isn't going to stand, guys. Because any number of planets Kirk would beam down to and go, okay, Landru, I don't think so, son. Whereas here it's like, okay, so they're like kidnapping a bunch of your people every whatever season. Nah, that's not going to stand. Don't care. We're not doing that. The Prime Directive doesn't apply here because you are being interfered with by a warp-capable society. So that's out the window. Your natural development is already gone because it's been... And they did that with the Klingons when
yes.
I think it was a private little war, and the Klingons were giving weapons to the Indians. I think they were Indians, Native American kind of style.
Representing Indians, yes.
They gave them weapons to even it out because the Prime Directive didn't apply because their development was being unnaturally changed by a warp-capable society. Well, I would say eating a bunch of people every season or something is probably not a bad idea to kind of step in and go, it's probably not good. Stop that. So I struggle with that too because I think this is subverting the Prime Directive and trying to make it, and so that's why I just don't like the ending of it. Like, had they gone, okay, we need you to come with us because we're going to prepare you to kind of bring the Kelpians into the Federation to protect them. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to tell whatever this alien race was to knock it off. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the idea of, no, you can never come back. And you were never going to let you.
Just seemed a way of forcing in the Giorgio and Saru friendship in the start, and I wonder whether they could have, set this short trek at an earlier time, made Saru younger.
He didn't seem very young, did he?
No, and just given it that time to develop. It seemed like a very rushed idea, a great idea, a rushed idea, in especially in terms of the 15-minute runtime, but also the amount of years that this would all sort of take place over.
Yeah.
And you're right, Saru sort of just goes to the top of the cliff, meets Giorgio and goes, yeah, these people are dead to me, and off I go.
That's exactly
It was sort of like, really?
Yeah, screw this place, I'm out of here.
Well, Lee, we're actually talking so much about these 2 episodes, more than we've been talking about the whole seasons of the original series and the animated series to come.
This is true.
Will you stick around and come back for a part 2 in a couple of days' time?
I think that's probably the way to go.